Well, patching into today's video, we're going to do the June month head forecast. A tricky month to pin down again. We've got a similar sort of scenario to the scenario we've had through May, actually, which is high pressure to the northeast, low pressure down to the southwest. And the month will depend on whether the trough in the Atlantic or the ridge over Scandinavia is the driving factor. It could be a very warm month, it could be quite a coolish, unsettled month. But we'll have a look at all the charts in a moment. Just want to talk about the advertising. There's video ads on my pages at GazWeatherViz.com. Hit play on the video ad, should be supporting GazWeatherViz.com. Thanks very much for doing that. Got a poll that I'm running on the website just for the rest of today. I'll be announcing the results of the poll tonight. It's about what you think is going to happen this summer. I'm trying to gauge the opinion of the viewers and readers at GazWeatherViz.com about what you think is going to happen this summer. So check out the poll. Put your vote in, and on the blog this evening around 8 o'clock I'll reveal the results of what the viewers and readers at GazWeatherViz.com think is going to happen this summer. It'll be very interesting then at the end of summer to come back and see whether people's expectations were met or whether it turned out to be a different summer to what most people were expecting. So check that out after the video, of course. So let's get on with the June month head forecast. I'm going to start off with the 700 millibar height anomaly chart from the CFS model. This is the anomaly for June, of course. And as I say, we've got this idea of the trough in the Atlantic with these below average heights there and digging down into central west parts of the Mediterranean. Could be a very unsettled month, actually, down across Spain and Portugal, central parts of the Med. And then we've got this ridge sitting up to the northeast of the country around Scandinavia. So depending on which air mass dominates, either the ridge to the east could bring us easterlies and it would be a very hot month, or certainly a very warm month if that happened. If a trough, though, dominates, then we're going to get westerlies and it will be a cool month. What will probably end up happening is we have something in between, which is actually what the model is showing, and at times we'll have southeasterlies, it'll get quite warm, then it'll break down into thunderstorms and then cool off for a few days, so the whole process sort of repeats itself. That could be the kind of month that we're looking at. Let's have a look at the temperature forecast. Well, it's looking quite cool down across Spain and Portugal. As I say, we're under a trough of low pressure digging down around there, so quite a coolish month down there. Of course, these are anomalies, so if you're going to Spain this month, don't be too concerned, because it's an anomaly of around 2 degrees below average. But of course, that's still going to be very, very hot across central parts of Spain and around the costas. You're still going to be up close to around 38, 40 degrees with that. So don't be too alarmed. Anyway, for us, it's showing near normal temperatures, actually. But we've got these orange colours sort of extending in across central parts of Europe. Also got reds up over Scandinavia. So we're very close to the above average temperatures. I do think we're probably looking at temperature anomalies coming out above average again this month. I'm not sure it's going to be a tremendously hot month, but certainly I think the idea is probably that we're coming out a bit above average once again. The precipitation anomaly for June is showing that, again, we're very close to normal, but wetter than average in the north. But generally, the whole of Western Europe is more unsettled than in the east and the northeast. This is where the ridge, of course, is up over here, so it's drier up in the east and the northeast. Out in the west, we're close to that trough. We've got the trough digging down into Spain and Portugal. So I'd expect precipitation anomalies, rainfall anomalies to be at the very least average and possibly coming out above average, particularly maybe, surprisingly, and this doesn't really show it, but particularly maybe for England and Wales, where I think we could be at risk of thundery rain, thunderstorms at times coming up from the south. So again, quite an interesting month, quite unusual that the south would be wetter than the north. Have a look at the 500 millibar height anomalies from the Beijing Climate Centre. These are broken down into 10-day periods. The first 10-day period, of course, will take us from the 1st to the 10th of June. And it's the same idea as on the CFS. We've got the ridge of high pressure up to the northeast, the trough out in the Atlantic and digging down in Spain, Portugal. And, of course, this leaves us at risk of southeasterly winds or possibly easterlies if the ridge is strong enough, westerlies if the trough is strong enough. But I think it's southeasterlies that we're looking at there, and possibly getting quite warm, but quickly breaking down into thundery showers. I think that'll be the idea for the next 10-day period. Going on to the second 10-day period, which takes us from the 11th to the 20th of June. Again, it's very similar. The ridge is up to the northeast. The colours aren't quite as intense, but it's the same idea. The ridge is up here and over here across Scandinavia. The trough is in the Atlantic and out to the west and the southwest of the country. So once again, I would expect very similar type setup, possibly bringing up easterlies or southeasterlies at times. Could get quite warm, maybe hot, but that trough will provide the instability to break everything down into thunderstorms, and it'll freshen off for a while. Now, as we get through to the final 10-day period, a bit of a change. This takes us from the 23rd to the 30th of June, and then we're seeing the trough more generally setting up over the country. You maybe can't make it out because the colours aren't that vibrant, but the idea is that the trough is moving in, I think, over the country through the final 10 days of the month. We may be getting some sort of a ridge then starting to set up around Iceland, so the pattern is shifting a little bit as we get through to the final 10 days. What that means is that it could turn more generally unsettled and cooler, and of course this 10-day period, the final 10-day period of the month, is taking us into big events. We've got Glastonbury going on during this 10-day period. There'll be Wimbledon starting as well. So the idea that it's turning more generally unsettled and probably cooler isn't particularly good for those events in the final 10 days of the month. Here's the temperature forecast average out for the whole of the June. Surprisingly, actually, the model is saying that we're coming out more or less cooler than average, on the cooler side of the average. I'm not sure about that. Look at how warm it is over Scandinavia. We're very close to that. It just depends whether that top of the ridge holds sway through the month. But I'll expect it to be a little bit warmer than that's suggesting. The precipitation forecast averaged out for the month shows that it's drier, or perhaps near normal really, for the north, but it's wetter than average down to the south, and I think that's a pretty good idea, because I think that times will be influenced by thunderstorms, thundery weather, thundery rain coming up from the south. So it's a complicated month to pin down, but overall I would suggest we're probably going to see temperature anomalies, despite what the Bayesian Climate Centre is showing, probably going to see temperature anomalies coming out above average, maybe by as much as a degree, but I don't think it'll be quite as hot, or the anomaly will be quite as big as we've had through most of 2014, although May hasn't had such a big anomaly. I think we'll have that idea for June as well. For precipitation, I think we're going to come out near normal for the north, but perhaps wetter than average for the south. So warm and wet, really. Quite an unusual combination, but I think that's what we're looking at, with above average incidence of thunderstorms, thundery weather, particularly for England and Wales. Finally, having a very quick sneak peek at July. Here's the 700 millibar height anomaly chart from the CFS model for July, and it's actually showing the ridge from Scandinavia building in. So if anything, that would turn drier and hotter perhaps for July. If you're looking for a summer month, a nice summer month, that could be pretty good there, but it's a long way off. We'll worry about that when we get to it. So let's come back and summarise what we're looking at. I think what we're looking at anyway for June. Of course, this is a long range forecast, so it's only for fun really, but I think we're looking at a warmer than average month, possibly by as much of a degree, but I don't think it's going to be a very hot month. And in terms of precipitation, I think we're looking at drier or near normal conditions for the north, perhaps wetter than average for the south, and that's happening because we're getting these thundery breakdowns coming through. So an above normal instance of thunderstorms likely, I think, for England and Wales, and particularly the south in particular. So a very interesting month. Going to be interesting to come back and see exactly what happens as we get through to next month and review the forecast. And that's it for now. Thanks for watching.